Should you reposition your speakers after switching power amplifiers? I think that's a pretty legit question, and it comes to us today from Max in Belgium. Good beer in Belgium. Strong beer in Belgium. Woo! Yeehaw, them monks know. In my current setup, I carefully place my floor-standing speakers using a method where you start with one speaker, pulling it out into the room, and moving it forward and backward until you get the best and most even bass response at your listening position. Now that's something that we're covering in our guide that's coming up. It's a really good way. It is the right way to do this, but we'll cover that. And you're looking for the even bass response at your listening position. And then you do the same with the other speaker to finally get the best center image. But very important in this exercise, which took me about 2 hours, it's not for the weak at heart, is that you focus on bass frequencies, which can be the most problematic in the room, which is absolutely true. Now my question is this. Do you recommend, or do you think it is even necessary to do this whole exercise again when changing the amplifier? Although the bass will be different with the new amp, will the bass response throughout the lower regions be as ideal in the room as in the speaker setup you already did with the previous amplifier? Many thanks. Well, as always in this stuff, there's not a perfectly clear answer, but generally I'm going to say no. Okay? Now here's why. Once you have your speakers set up for best bass, and again, this method that he's talking about, moving the speakers back and forth, sometimes even quarters of an inch sorry, I'm getting bugs. It's about noon here and the bugs are out and they're hungry. Once you get your speakers positioned for best bass and you get your listening position for best bass, nothing you do in terms of the amplifier, preamplifier, source is going to change that perfect position for the bass. So, no, you don't want to then change the speakers. However, when you change a piece of electronics, amplifiers, preamplifiers, sources, again, you may want to reposition the toe in and the toe out, the distance between each other, as opposed to moving them for bass. And here's why. When you initially set up your speakers, if you were following my guide, for example, this guide I'm publishing, you're going to get the bass right, and then you're going to set down, I'll have a little setup CD with this, and you'll start using that CD, and you're going to position the speaker, leaving them in place. You'll start towing them in a little bit less, towing them back, moving them closer together to get the center image, the tonality correct for that amplifier and that system, okay? When we change that amplifier or we change that system, those things will also change, those frequencies above a certain point. So for example, let's say we have an amplifier that we'll call big, kind of fat and woolly amplifier, and that amplifier has a lot of this to it in terms of synergy with your other gear. Well, in that case, you're going to want to move your speakers apart a little bit because that mid bass is too heavy. And as we move our speakers apart, we get less coupling of that frequency, and therefore it thins out the person's voice. Now, I switch over to a lean and mean amplifier. Now it's going to sound way too thin, way too lean. Then I'm going to push them back closer together, or perhaps the toe end is a little different. But in terms of your specific question, and remember I'm an engineer, so I get all involved in these specifics. Specifically for the low frequencies that you've already done, leave those alone. I hope that helps. Thanks for the question. And stay away from that beer. That stuff will get ya. I'll talk to you later. Bye.